chair, we're going to warm up using a dining room chair or any kind of chair. Any chair works. Let's go ahead and get started with one chair, with one leg up on the chair. And we are going to make sure that our hips are square. So we're not putting this leg all the way out here where I'm twisting my body. We're going to bring it in nice and close so that both my hips are facing forward. And we're just gently going to bow over that leg for a count of 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. If it feels good for you, you can have a slight bend in this bottom leg if that helps you balance. And last one, let's hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release that. And let's switch legs. Again, making sure the hips are facing forward. We're coming down with a nice flat back for 8, 7. Don't hunch yourself forward. Make sure you're staying nice and elongated. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and let's hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release that. Alrighty, so now we're going to turn so that the leg is off to our side. And we're going to put one foot on here. I like it rotated roughly at 45 degrees, but you can find what's comfortable for your ankle. And we're going to shift the weight so that we lunge onto that chair and then come back to standing, and we'll do 8 of those. 2, make sure your hips are pointing forward, and we're trying to keep this knee pointed out to the side or back. Really think about driving that leg out. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very nice. Let's hang out here. Put the arms overhead, and we're just going to do little pulses here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come back up. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Foot comes onto your chair. When we're standing, we have all our weight over this standing leg, and we're going to lunge over for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, really driving this leg out, staying nice and tall. 2, and 1. Very nice. Arms up overhead, and let's pulse over. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come back up. Very nice. Let's go ahead and sit on our chair. And we're going to sit with the legs nice and wide. We're going to fold forward, placing both the hands on the floor by our feet. We're going to lift one arm up and rotate and come back down and do the other arm. We're just going to work through a few of these. Do what feels good on your body. Try and keep your belly button tucked in towards your spine. Don't let your ribs flare. Just gently rotating. If you can't quite reach the floor, it's also okay to grab onto your ankles and rotate. That is totally acceptable, keeping yourself a little bit higher up. But make sure that belly button is tucked in throughout the entire exercise. Let's do a couple more. I'm gonna do one more on each side after this one. Alrighty. And last one. Very nice. Now let's go ahead and sit ourselves up straight. Don't lean back into your chair. Make sure you're nice and upright here. And we are going to bring the neck forward, trying to get the chin to touch your chest. But remember, you can obviously bring the chin down with your jaw. That's not what we're trying to do here. Keep the jaw close to the rest of your skull, and tuck your chin in that way. If you feel yourself like pushing your chin down, don't grind your teeth, but try and close your jaw and then try it again. So we're here, and we're gonna work through protracting our shoulders and flexing our spine, and then coming into retraction, keeping the chin down the entire time, just moving through those. I like to keep my hands on my knees. I find that's where they're the most comfortable. Moving in and out of this, nice and slow. Take some deep breaths as you move through these. Really getting a good stretch in that upper back. Curling yourself in and then arching yourself out. Let's do 2 more of each. Alrighty, and last one. Okay, let's lift that neck back up to neutral. Now, with the arms, we are going to have them where the arms are shoulder width apart, and we're going to try and drive our thumbs outward. They're not going to go very far out because it's kind of an awkward position already, but we want to think about keeping the thumbs pointing out and not letting the arms come in towards the center. So with the thumbs pointed out, we're going to try and send these arms overhead and come back down. When we do this, it's important, don't let the ribs flare out. Keep the ribs nice and tucked in. So it's just coming from the shoulders. We're not bending backwards to get deeper into this. Make sure you're still driving your thumbs outward as we lift the arms overhead. Be sure to breathe while you do these, moving nice and slow. Here our shoulders are in external rotation, which is why this feels super duper awkward. If you try and move your hands into internal rotation, you'll notice that you can go a lot farther. But we're not trying to do that right now. We're trying to keep them externally rotated and move through that range of motion, because it's a little bit more challenging. Alrighty, let's pause at the top for 5, 4, draw the ribs in, 2, and 1. Very nice. Alrighty, the last thing we're going to do, we're actually going to come down, not quite towards the floor, but we're going to place the bottom of the chair. I like to start it in mid-back. We'll kind of move it around, but starting in mid-back. I also like to put my hands on my ribs to give myself feedback. We don't want to be flaring the ribs out here. I'm actually going to go a tiny bit lower. So bringing the body down, keep a nice neutral neck, and then come back up. Work through a few of these. You can also have the hands underneath your head if that's more comfortable for you. Trying to keep the ribs tucked in here. And come back up. Let's do one more, pausing at the bottom. And now let's let the ribs flare out and trying to get the head towards the chair and your butt towards the ground. Take some deep breaths. And now, staying in this position, we're going to try to work through our rib flare and then closing it up. So try and draw those ribs in and then release them. If you want to put your hands back on your ribs so you can kind of feel yourself hiding them and letting them flare and hiding and letting them flare. So when you're letting them flare, you can like dig your fingers underneath, and then once you're engaging your core, your muscles should be pushing your fingers back up. Alrighty, and let's move our back a little bit further down, and we're gonna do the same thing, keeping the ribs tucked in. We're just gonna come down and up and down, working through little arches and coming back up, keeping those ribs engaged, just kind of working through this, letting the back open up. Alrighty, and let's release, let the ribs flare, head to the chair, butt to the floor, trying to get a nice big arch here. Take some deep breaths. And again, holding onto our ribs, let's push through, release the ribs, and then hide them, and release, and hide them. Release, hide them, release, hide them. Very nice. We're gonna do one more set of these, a tiny bit lower on the back. And we're just gonna keep coming back up. You might also wanna walk your feet a little bit further out. Keeping the ribs tucked in, we're gonna drop the butt and bring it back up. Should be feeling more and more intense on your back. Let's do one more. And then let's release into that flare. Get a nice stretch on the back. If you want to, we can also grab behind the chair, send the elbows up, and really, really try and dig your butt in towards the ground. You're gonna be digging the chair into your back a little bit, and it's a nice opener. You can kind of shift your weight side to side here. This is great if you have like an office job and you tend to spend a lot of time like hunched over a computer, or if you just play on your phone a lot, you're hunched over that. It's a really good thoracic opener for you. And let's work through the ribs. So flaring and tucking in, flaring, tucking in, flaring, tucking in, and just relax yourself down. Very nice. That's our warm-up. Hope you enjoyed it.